Hello, I'm Kenneth Wright. I founded Wright Water Engineers back in 1961, and I'm very happy to be here today to celebrate our 60th anniversary.
Wright Water Engineers is a full-service water resources engineering firm. We work in all aspects of water. We're concerned about the quantity of water, but we also work with the quality of water. Our philosophy is to design with nature, not against nature, and as professional engineers, we always place paramount protecting public health, safety, and welfare. In 1996, we received the Colorado Ethics and Business Award, and then in 1999, we received the American Business and Ethics Award. We are delighted to have received these because they go to our core values of placing the public first and designing in harmony with nature and in practicing engineering the right way and the ethical way.
In the 1960s, when we began working in urban drainage, we found that the situation was in chaos.
The drainage situation in the 1960s was really a patchwork of improvements done by individual cities and counties, and oftentimes an improvement that one community would do would be to the detriment of their downstream neighbor. The Urban Drainage and Flood Control District was created in 1969 by a legislative act. It started in 1965 when the South Platte River flooded, and although there had been floods on the South Platte River since the 1800s, this was the worst one to date. Now, on the heels of that flood, engineers from 5 counties formed a drainage advisory committee to the Denver Regional Council of Governments and lobbied State Senator Joe Shoemaker to draft legislation to create the flood district. And this drainage advisory committee worked with Dr. Cog to commission Ken Wright's firm to author the Urban Storm Drainage Criteria Manual.
I prepared the Urban Storm Drainage Criteria Manual based in part on the work of D. Earl Jones, the father of John Jones.
Earl Jones was my father, and he was a visionary civil engineer. In the 1960s and 70s, he was helping to create significant advancements in urban water resources. And he frequently wrote and spoke about an approach to land development that he called blue-green. It was in the 1960s that Ken Wright adopted the philosophies of my father, and they worked together on the 1969 Denver Urban Storm Drainage Criteria Manual, which remains a landmark document in our field. The shovel to my right was found by Ken and Earl on their last field trip together in 1991.
Wright Water Engineers has had a number of landmark projects over the years. One of the most memorable was for the Adolph Kurz Company that I started in 1963, meaning that we've been working for them for nearly 60 years.
In the 1960s, Wright Water Engineers was hired by Coors to help increase water supply for their Golden Brewery by over 10 times to support the growth of the business. Once their portfolio was strong enough, Coors needed to pursue an augmentation plan to protect its water rights on Clear Creek. Wright Water Engineers worked with Jack Ross, Bill Turtelot, Lyle Bush, and Neil Jacquet to build the first augmentation plan in the state in 1977. Wright Water Engineers' tenacity and hard work is the reason Coors has become the largest single-site brewery location in the United States. That spirit of going to bat for the client is what has made Wright Water Engineers successful for so long.
The concept of water augmentation plants in Colorado was initiated by Felix Sparks, who was chairman of the Colorado Water Conservation Board. He called me in 1967 and said he needed help on devising a plan for better utilization of water resources. After 2 years of study, I came up with a plan for utilization of junior water rights to support well users as well as other junior water rights.
Natural resource management in Colorado and nationally has changed dramatically since 1975. There are today a suite of environmental laws and environmental protections that now cover every aspect of natural resources, whether it's water development, energy development, regulation of wildlife and public lands. There's been a very, very thorough transformation of environmental protection. The role that Wright Water Engineers have played in this evolution has been significant. They have truly helped make a difference in protecting the state's water quality, the state's beauty, the state's overall environmental health, for which we are all very, very grateful.
The role of Wright Water Engineers in making the South Platte River an amenity started in early 1960s when Joe Shoemaker and I devised a plan for improving the environmental quality of the river and its banks.
One of the real challenges of Colorado is to manage the South Platte River and to do it in a way where it doesn't hurt agriculture and that it provides the water that quite often Denver needs.
The South Platte River, the main river through Denver, was a mess. It was a mile wide and an inch deep. Banks were filled with landfills, a lot of pollution.
It was incredible. People would dump their used refrigerators down there, their automobiles. That whole South Platte River Valley was just a mess. And a bunch of very far-sighted people, including the Wrights, saw that we could take this place that was one of the unsightly places and turn it into one of the beautiful places.
Another important project of Wright Water Engineers was my serving as special assistant to Governor Richard Lamm for the Big Thompson flood restoration. The Big Thompson flood started on Colorado Day back in 1976.
I was awoken at about 2:30 in the morning by a state legislator that lived up there, and he said that there was a real disaster in the making. That flood was the biggest trauma of my 12 years in office. Killed 133 people, including a state patrolman. Again, I turned to Ken Wright as a wise man to help me make the kind of decisions that had to be made.
I've had the opportunity of, across the board, working with Wright Water Engineers, really exciting projects, meaningful projects, projects that absolutely have affected the future of the state. And I have just such high regard for the quality of people at Wright Water Engineers, their professionalism, and their dedication to public service when called upon.
The core philosophy of the company is exemplified by the young staff that we have. We have great enthusiasm for the work that we perform around the United States for public and private sector clients. And we really are very sincerely motivated to help our country and to help the environment.
I've been working at Wright Water Engineers for 2 years after being an intern here during college. And Wright Water Engineers has given me the opportunity to work on lots of different projects that promote my interest in supporting a healthy environment. I've also had the opportunity to network and get involved in professional organizations and meet engineers from across the state and country that support my career.
Wright Water Engineers would not be the company it is if not for the hardworking staff that we've had over the years.
I'm Patricia Flood, and I've worked at Wright Water Engineers for 42 years. I work primarily in the field of water rights. One of the strengths of Wright Water Engineers are its longtime employees. Recently, 2 employees have retired. Bill Laura, who headed up our Glenwood Springs office, and Chuck Haynes. We have a number of employees who have worked for Wright Water over 15 years.
33 very good and always interesting years.
30 very interesting and fulfilling years.
31 years of research and fun.
28 never a boring day years.
Celebrating my 28th year at Wright Water Engineers.
26 exciting and educational years.
24 whirlwind years.
22 years of working on fascinating projects with amazing people.
A wonderful 19 years.
18 exciting years.
16 fabulous years.
15 active years.
Thank you to all employees, old and new, who have helped Wright Water Engineers to be successful.
As we stand here at Confluence Park, where the South Platte and Cherry Creek rivers join together, this is a great example of work that Ken Wright did several decades ago to transform an area that was once a dumping ground into a recreational jewel that people enjoy year-round. And this is just one example of the legacy of Wright Water Engineers and the work that's been done to benefit the region, the people of Colorado, and well beyond, across the entire country. All of the projects that we work on at Wright Water Engineers take nature into consideration in some form. For example, we're working on channel restoration projects where we're stabilizing channels that have been modified because of urbanization. We're working for following wildfires and planning and predicting what kind of increased flooding and potential for debris flows could occur in a watershed following a fire.
As an employee for Wright Water Engineers, I was able to work on this post-wildfire hydrology work both for the city of Aspen and for Garfield County as they developed their hazard mitigation plan. There are many communities that are interested in becoming more resilient in our changing climate, and Wright Water Engineers is on the forefront of that work, helping many communities on the western slope become more resilient and more prepared when wildfires do occur and they are faced with the hazards that result.
If you look around and you see the Wright's contribution, this isn't something that's going to last for a season or a year or two. They helped build institutions and infrastructure that will help our great-grandchildren. Their contribution will be significant and lasting.
It's so important that we be stewards of our earth. There's no other place to go. And it is such an exquisite place that is taking care of us, the fish in the ocean and the animals on the land. And if we destroy that, we're actually destroying our home and ourselves.
Looking towards the future, there clearly will be enormous challenges associated with working with nature in the water resources arena. Wright Water Engineers is right in the middle of evaluating all of these issues. And whereas they can appear to be monumental challenges, they also provide extraordinary opportunities, particularly for the younger staff that we have at our company. We're blessed to have people at a younger age who have great ethics, a strong commitment to helping society, a very strong commitment to protecting the environment and working with nature. And I have all the confidence in the world that over the next 60 years, they will help to guide us locally and at a state level and nationally towards successful resolution of these issues.
I think I speak on behalf of everyone at Wright Water Engineers when I say how grateful we are to Ken Wright for founding the company 60 years ago, which has given us all an opportunity to do such meaningful work.
Thank you again for joining us today and for helping us to celebrate our 60th anniversary. And we sincerely appreciate the contributions that each of you have made to helping us become a successful company. Again, thank you.
See you bright and early tomorrow morning.